Q-tips used. Nice. Another used Q-tip. Ugh. Something about Q-tips that just creep me out. Welcome back to the workbench, everybody. This is Matt with House of Vacuums, and today on the workbench we have a really cool vacuum. We have a Sharp Twin Energy. Very, very cool machine. I sold a lot of these back in the day. I don't even know if this is a Twin Energy. This might be a single fan unit. Doesn't say Twin Energy on it. Does it show two fans? Only shows one. Maybe this is old enough to be single fan. I sold a lot of these back in the day, and every time I see one, I get a little nostalgic, because these were really good machines. These harken back to the days when Sharp really came out of nowhere and really came for Panasonic's lunch money, because Panasonic was a really big name in vacuums at the time, and were making some really high quality units. And Sharp came out of nowhere with bigger motors, dual fan 12 amp motors, and a pretty well built machine that that really kind of set Panasonic on their heels. Now, there aren't a lot of these on the road anymore because there were a few fatal flaws with this machine. The first is carbon brushes. So these used an Amatec lamb motor, and they're lamb brushes. So as you can see here, there is a, get this into the light. There we go. There's a metal sheath right here, and that is driven into this plastic housing. And what would happen is these motors ran really hot, and what would end up happening is this this metal sheath would actually start riding out and make contact with the commutator on the armature. And that usually, if you caught it early, you could save it. But, and we always fix them by simply adding, if I can get my eyes away here, we always add it by adding a dab of glue right there, and that would hold it in place. So if you caught that issue early, no big deal. Now the other issue was, because these tended to run hot, they would also warp housings. So the motor housing itself is like a clamshell, top and bottom come together, and then what they do is they have pivot points, one on the left, one on the right, and those pivot points are where the nozzle hinges. Those would melt, and then you would not be able to ever get it to fit back again, and it would not make a full sealed suction. You know, basically it was just a loss once the motor housing melted. So very interesting to see this guy in here. Again, if you took care of them, if somebody caught those issues early, and if you changed the bag frequently, you would always, you know, these were really quite good machines. So what I'm seeing here, though, on this unit, they were complaining that it was clogged, and it sure is. And they were saying it needs a belt, and it sure does. This thing is cracked all to pieces. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but there are cracks just all over this thing, and on the back side. That might be even more visible. So yeah, this belt is toast. This has seen better days. So back in the day, these certainly weren't as well made as the Riccar 8000 series. I certainly sold more of the Riccars, but they were a very good budget alternative. This one here, oh, Q-tips used, nice. Another used Q-tip. Something about Q-tips that just creep me out. Now, in the interest of this customer's request, we're only replacing the belt and unclogging it. So if it's lasted this long on its carbon brushes, they're probably okay. They've been fixed at some point, updated. We do have a problem here. These were always finicky. So we've got the, these are like kickstands that come up to, when the vacuum's upright, these kick up and keep the brush roll from making contact with the floor. Nice idea in theory, but in function, these always ended up getting a little bit loose or boogered or breaking because people were rough on them. So this one's actually in reversed. So these certainly weren't as good as the Riccars back in the day, but they were a very good budget alternative, and I think very competitive with Panasonic given the amount of power that they produce. These were a top-rated pick throughout the time that they were manufactured by Consumer Reports, which I don't put a ton of stock in Consumer Reports. The stuff, if you're knowledgeable about certain items and and you pay attention to Consumer Reports, they are not that reliable. But it was just interesting that such a niche vacuum got such a high rating. The motor housing on this one is fine. There's no warping there, no warping there. This looks fine. So all we're really going to have to do now that we've got it unclogged is where you just need to change the belt. Around the same time, there were a lot of Japanese companies and, well, just Asian companies trying to do the same thing. Sharp got into the market. Panasonic had been in the market for quite a while. Who else? GoldStar, before they were LG, GoldStar had an upright, which was really interesting. I've looked and looked and looked. I would love to get one. If you know of a GoldStar upright that is available, let me know because I will buy it. Because they were very, very rare. They didn't make many of them, but they were just an interesting vacuum, and I'm a sucker for vacuums I'm nostalgic about. That feels plenty free. And around that time as well, Sanyo made a set of uprights. They're inexpensive uprights. The SCU? No, the SCU is their big uprights, I think. SCAs, those were, the small ones were really pretty good for the money. The SCUs, the big ones, they had heat issues, and the motors were pretty weak. We went through a lot of motors with those. But again, the rest of the build quality, like metal bottom plates, metal brush rolls, you could get this unit with a metal brush roll. At the time, it was a really fun and exciting time to be part of the vac industry. All right, so we got the brush roll cleaned off. I'm just going to show you this belt here. It was a little hard to see earlier, but you can see all that cracking. That thing was about ready to go at any time. And look at that glazing. That was probably not even turning on their carpet. So anyway, let's go get a new belt. This belt is so far gone that we want something that's a little bit wider than the old one. As you can see here, this one's a little bit wider. We also want one that is significantly shorter because of how much this old one has stretched. Get it to focus. Focus. There we go. So this should be just about right. And surprise, surprise, this is a Panasonic belt, plenty stretchy. So we're going to go ahead and pop this in here. Now on these particular models, there were models available with a carpet floor switch. This, in my opinion, is the one to get, which is the unit that does not have the carpet floor switch, as it is just a lot less prone to any kind of fidgetiness, which the carpet floor switches on these, they weren't the best design in the entire world. They weren't the worst, they weren't the best. So there's little clips right here, and we just pop that back in, close that up, all toolless design. That's all turning great. Brush roll felt good, and now we are going to go ahead and give this guy a test run and just see if it has that old classic sharp sound and feel. guy's back on the road with a new belt. Hopefully the owner will get a few more years out of this guy. So anyways, just a little walk down memory lane. I really liked these machines. They just like everything that is enduring, they had their flaws, but it just came from a really cool era when it seemed like there were vacuum manufacturers who actually gave a crap, and they were all trying to outdo each other, and it was an exciting time to be selling vacuums for that reason. So in any case, I appreciate you watching this. If you like this content, go ahead and subscribe and click the notifications bell. Give us a thumbs up as well, because that really helps us out. And I hope that I'll see you in the next video.